Call this place Preservation Hall. And what they preserve here is jazz, as it's been played for nearly a century, in a mixture of joy and pain and religious mystery that comes raw out of the real lives of people in a particular place, generation after generation. Out of the fields and shacks and sanctified churches and honky-tonk bar rooms and bawdy houses. Out of the levees and docks and boat decks on the Mississippi River. Out of the ancient rhythms and the long enduring of being black in America. All that jazz. If Philadelphia and Independence Hall are national shrines as the birthplaces of the American government, New Orleans and this dusty, dimly lit room are equally evocative shrines to the only fully American-born art form. In the beginning, the word jazz was spelled J-A-S-S, and its meaning was sexual. It got attached to music when it was used as an insult to describe the first group of New Orleans musicians to arrive in Chicago who played without belonging to the Union. The crucible for jazz was the funeral parade, a New Orleans old black religious tradition. To this day, parades are central to the spiritual life of New Orleans. And the Grand Dame, of course, is the annual week of parades to celebrate Mardi Gras. But as one historian said, New Orleans is such a marching city, if a fly flies crooked, they're going to have a parade to celebrate. New Orleans has a tradition of unmatched tolerance for blacks and a vibrant acceptance of human frailty. What the great pianist Jelly Roll Morton called everything in the way of hilarity. As Negro spirituals grew out of Protestant hymns, jazz grew partly out of white march music. Black marching bands accompanied their deceased to the cemetery. As you see, even New Orleans cemeteries are different. Because the city is built on a swamp and vulnerable to flooding, burial is above ground. The music for the ritual of the Black Funeral March was a dirge of muted drums and horns. They played songs like "Flee as a Bird to the Mountain," and on the way out to the cemetery, they played it straight. And then coming home, they played tunes often of their own making and ragged the notes, which is when one note is written, you play two or three in syncopated rhythm. This is not where Louis Armstrong was born. These slums are already classy compared to that degradation. It happened in a one-room hovel on a block-long street called Jane or James Alley, which is gone now. It was between Gravier and Perdido streets in this general area. It has not been recorded, but by common agreement, and especially Louis himself, said that Louis Daniel Armstrong was born on July 4, 1900, a blasting 4th of July, his mother called it. And she called Louis a firecracker baby. Louis called himself pure black, traceable to West Africa's Gold Coast. Armstrong's father, Willie, worked most of his life in a turpentine factory. But Willie was only an occasional parent, and they were never close. Armstrong's mother was only 15 when she married. Her name was Mary Ann, but everyone called her May Ann. Her parents had been slaves, and she worked variously from time to time as a maid and laundry woman. May Ann was fiercely devoted to her children, Louis and a daughter 2 years younger named Beatrice, called by Louis Mama Lucy. Armstrong and his mother were extremely close. May Ann believed in the